everyone, welcome to Foxon Media Digital. My name's Amy, and today I'm joined by Nels Ylitalo, who is Director of Regulatory and Sustainable Risk Analytics at FactSet. So welcome, Nels. Great to have you.
Thanks so much, Amy. Glad to be here.
Yeah, of course, you're a partner for the Summit for ESG London, which took place in November recently. So we wanted to catch up with you briefly ahead of the Christmas break, just to find out a bit about yourself and your company. So would you mind just telling us a bit about yourself and FactSet?
Yeah, absolutely. So FactSet is a financial data and analytics vendor. We serve a number of firm types. We're a global firm. So banks, insurers, pension funds, asset managers, wealth managers. We really cover the waterfront in terms of different types of financial services firms with a variety of financial data and software. So whether it's market risk or performance reporting, research, engagement management systems for ESG investors, and so on. We've got different offerings, front office trading and things like that. Really broad offering. I have a fairly specific role within FactSet. As you noted, my title is Director of Regulatory and Sustainable Risk Analysis. And so my background is as a lawyer. My expertise is in financial regulation. Historically, before the rise of sustainable finance regulation, I focused a lot on post-financial crisis regulatory reform. So risk and transparency primarily in the teens. Now, the big focus, of course, is sustainable finance regulation.
That's fantastic. Really good overview. And yeah, in light of that, then, given your experience and those niche solutions that FactSet does offer, tell us what's happening in the ESG and sustainable investing space, especially from a regulatory point of view.
So what we're seeing in this space, from a regulatory point of view, is a real transformation, a real sea change. And I really date that inflection point to 2015 and the Paris Agreement, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the founding of TCFD, and events like that. Those all were in late 2015, early 2016. After there was global consensus around a number of these key topics, climate, sustainable development, climate disclosures, what we've seen is on a regional basis, like in the EU, on a country level basis in other areas. So Singapore, Japan, Australia, the list goes on all around the world. Legislators and regulators have been putting actual legislative and rule-based mechanisms in place to align to those high-level global goals and the national level commitments that countries made within those. And so the transformation for, I'll just talk about asset managers, but it's true across the board, has really been one of moving from a voluntary regime to a mandatory and standards-based regime. Partly that transformation has also been bridged by broadly accepted frameworks for disclosures such as GRI or TCFD, but then it's matured even more where, for example, TCFD reporting, the framework and principles have been adopted into regulations and borrowed wholesale by legislators and regulators. So it's that huge shift from voluntary approaches to mandated and standards-based and framework-based approaches that's been really, driving a lot of client activity and change the business costs.
Yeah, really good summary there. Because, like you say, it's constantly been evolving since 2015. And, every year there's, new updates to the regulations, variations in the European versus North American versus Asian disclosure requirements. So, given all of that and the transformation that asset managers, investors have gone through, what's kind of top of mind this year based on, recent updates, and what do you think people are looking ahead to next?
So this was a really big year, and I'm going to talk specifically. Well, I'll talk first about the sustainable finance disclosure regulation in Europe, and then in terms of what financial firms are looking at next. We can talk a bit about the US and some other jurisdictions. We don't need to belabor it and go into too much detail. But 2023 was a really big year for a number of European sustainable finance regulations. As an example, financial firm entity level adverse impact reporting with the SFDR RTS Annex 1 was due on company websites as of June, at the end of June. So preparing for that compliance state, getting everything ready, all the data together, and getting through that first round was a really big issue. Another major issue that European asset managers, financial product manufacturers in Europe really confronted head on in 2023 was their investment product, financial product level sustainability reporting. So that's essentially annexes 2 to 5 of the SFDR RTS. And so what we're seeing right now is many firms, large, mid-tier, and smaller, used a lot of in-house approaches to this reporting. They got through the first round effectively of all this reporting, but aren't yet at their target operating models. So what's going to be efficient for the longer term? In other jurisdictions like the United States, we're all waiting to see what comes out from the SEC, and that's on a few different topics. We've actually seen a recent rulemaking for SEC, the fund names rule, that implicates ESG funds. But the bigger rules we're expecting at this point are the corporate climate and emissions disclosures related rules, and the ESG fund and investment advisor ESG disclosure requirements. So that's a big development that's coming in the US. We're all anticipating that. The UK, the FCA, recently finalized its sustainable disclosure regulation rules. So the UK SDR is now fully baked, and we all have to get ready for the compliance dates there. And I could talk about other similar developments in Australia and elsewhere. But it's really a case where the European Union is approximately 2 years ahead of many other jurisdictions in terms of finalized requirements. That remains in. I should mention then with the EU as well, and what investors are looking ahead to is anticipated changes to the SFDR. And these could be significant. So there have been some recent consultations, for example, looking at many key aspects of SFDR and considering whether they need to be changed going forward to improve the system. So really we're talking about, especially for the global asset manager that has markets funds in multiple jurisdictions, parallel developments at different stages, from final rules that are expected to be changing to awaiting the publication of final rules to consultations. It's really quite a daunting challenge.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I completely understand that a lot of asset managers with global operations are looking to what's happening in the European space, and then, they're ensuring that consistency to stay ahead of the game for any further updates that might come out in, US regulators or so on. So, in terms of all of those challenges, then, how can FactSet help, asset managers or investors navigate this space? Because I know that there's a lot, like you say, from the data and the reporting side.
Right, absolutely. So we offer a wide range of solutions, so point solutions or workflow solutions for ESG investing, for sustainable investing. It runs the gamut from ESG research, so making a wide variety of ESG research available in our workstation is an example. If you wanted to see MSCI research, Sustainalytics, Trucost, we can feature those all. We can include as well your internal research alongside all of those. We also offer our True Value Labs ESG news sentiment scores alongside all of that. So that's a research sort of focus in the workstation. We have ESG engagement management tools that enable our clients to really manage a burgeoning workflow when it comes to ESG engagement and increasing regulatory expectations around the ESG engagement. So, in the US, for example, we're anticipating a situation where meetings will need to be specifically qualified as ESG for purposes of tracking your engagement, number of meetings, topics covered, things like that, and then reporting it. We have a multi-asset class portfolio analytics software suite. So this runs the gamut from all kinds of exposure analysis. You can bring in your own data. We have a lot available on the system of FactSet proprietary content. And then doing performance attribution, contribution, and risk analysis. We also have portfolio-oriented reporting tools, which we call publisher. So that's what our clients are using for SFDR annexes. And one of the really nice features there is there's a direct tie between our portfolio analytics software and the publishing software. So if you see a data point in the PDF report, you can click through that right back into the portfolio. And see what's going on, what's driving those numbers and confirming them. So it's really a wide range of options. And then, of course, we have front office trading. So you can integrate data, ESG related data as you need into the front office trading environment.
That's amazing. Yeah, really holistic set of solutions, as you say, tying in together and addressing a lot of those challenges that we're seeing, as event organizers from the investment management community when it comes to multi-asset, all of the, usual data challenges with the added complexity of ESG. So really great to see what you guys are doing. And I know it's been short and sweet, but we're looking forward to collaborating with you again next year and you're hearing updates on what's happened, especially on the regulatory front. So thanks so much, Nels, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much. There's a ton happening. I'm looking forward to next year as well. By next year, there's going to be a ton of new corporate reporting coming out, particularly in Europe. So that's going to come with its own set of challenges as well. So thank you so much for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. And yeah, of course, we'll identify some of these, at the Summit for ESG New York, the London event, maybe back on the channel. We'll just have to catch up and see. So I'm sure the team will catch up with the FactSet team in person. But for now, thanks so much for joining and thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to follow our YouTube channel for more content on the challenges and opportunities in asset management, wealth management, and ESG. And don't forget to give this interview a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button.